The fuck, marry, kill question.
Kill techno.
I
was in the driver's seat, and then there was 5 of us, so she was in the middle in the back seat, right?
Yeah.
And then I look in my rearview mirror, and there's this chick looking straight
like smiling.
dude.
The Vaabs check on taking your shirt off at the jaw.
I just want to say that Deborah's opinion does not reflect the company, nor does it reflect Church and Sognage. Her opinions do not represent ours. My brother and I started Sognage, and we started it almost on a whim.
Welcome back to Vaabs Podcast, everybody.
Vaabs,
Behind the
Vaabs,
camera
Vaabs.
is a boy Dylan Dooley. I'm Davey D, and to my left it is Captain the Brizzle.
Yes, boy. And today we have a very, very special episode for you today because we have a very, very special guest. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the kingdom of drum and bass, then our next guest requires no introduction whatsoever. For those of you who are joining us from the dungeons of techno, the planet of house, the bar down the street that serves like half-price tequilas or something, then allow me to introduce to you the Bishop of Church, the Lord of Sognage, the King of the J-Big Rip. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Rhepuls in the studio. People come from near and far to see him perform, and even some say they've seen him alongside his most trusted chums, wielding his most trusty weapon, a double-sided CDJ. Of which he wields too. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, lover of sonics, king of parties, thrower of the dub plates, Rhepuls.
Yes, what an introduction. Thank you, man.
Sure, man. We are very, I don't know if that portrayed a gas to have you here today.
Yeah, man. Thank you, dude. Fuck. Super sick. Yeah, super sick. Yeah, it's a bit excessive. I have a couple that I would like come back and forth on, but
You know, we can remix it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Rework it.
We'll
Get
do
the
that.
studio together.
100%. Otherwise, how you doing? It's a big week for you. Big week last week as well.
Yeah, good. No, super good, man. Flipping. Lots of work, lots of raves, lots of tunes to make, lots of stuff going on. Yeah, especially now planning for the rest of the year, doing lots of Sognage stuff. So it's all happening right now, boys, if I'm honest. Lots of cool things on the horizon and lots of cool stuff that we're working on now, which is really rad. Then church this weekend. By the time this will be out, it'll be 3 days from then. So hopefully see the homies there. Really keen on that. And then just living my life. My vibiest laugh.
Oh, that's all you can really ask for, bro. I feel like the way that from our introduction to church to what we've seen now, it feels like it's like non-stop.
Absolutely. I think we hit a run of consistency, and when we started to see that consistency paid off, we all as collectively were like, okay, we're doubling down. We're going hard.
This is the hard time.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I feel like this is like the soft period. Like, can you tell us about like back in the day, like your first ever church party there in 2015 or 2016?
Yeah, 2016, Rosebank, Capital Underground, the same venue where Toy Toy started back in the day in Addiction. I think we were naive as anything, and me and my homie Dino, we on one day sat on a couch and decided we were going to throw this drum and bass party. The name came about 15 minutes later. Rainer was involved, and then it's kind of history from there. But those came with a different stress, like a lack of personal identity and like the brand, and like you're not sure of all your decisions. But there's also something cool. It's like you're just experiencing the world for the first time. You're like a child. Everything is amazing. Oh my God, people came to our party. Oh my God, we sold 100 tickets. All those like little things really, they're very satisfying. And the music industry often doesn't let you have a lot of satisfaction in your day-to-day work. So to grab little pieces of satisfaction like that is super cool.
I would have just been by the door counting everyone inside. So I'm like, they came for us.
Yeah, exactly. It's surreal, man. And especially to see the juxtaposition of that and then where we are now, it's like even my dad looks at me, he's like, how the hell did you do it? You know what I mean? How did you expand the random company that you started in the guest cottage couch, in the guest cottage on the couch is now doing what it's doing. So yeah, it's cool, man.
How were the growing phases for it from like starting a Capital Underground up until now? Like,
we had hard lessons. And a lot of the hard lessons that we learned early on with church, we ended up becoming like seminal lessons that we applied to Sognage, which helped a lot of that kind of growing pain as well. Like, put us in a good position there. Some of the weird stuff, dealing with venues, bro. The guy who owned that venue, he was the worst. He was the worst. He held CDJs hostage one time. That was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, there was crazy stuff. So dealing with venues, dealing with venue owners, all that kind of thing. That was like the most challenging thing. And then also you get your first like kind of artist interactions, or your first couple of screw ups, you blow a sound system here, you lose a bit of gear there. Yeah, exactly. So all that kind of like defines who you are. You know, it's like the building blocks of what your end product becomes, which is super cool.
So excited.
You expect to have good questions. That's all I'm saying. I'm here to answer good questions.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, we got the best questions.
Hopefully.
Delete all the questions.
Delete all the
We
questions.
need every single question to be new.
Oh, not that question.
So I feel like first we want to know from you, from a DJ perspective, as Rhepuls, where was like the catalyst moment for you? What was the first time where like you looked at a CDJ and were like, actually, fuck this, like I want to.
DJing came way later than making music. So it started with me playing guitar, playing in rock and metal bands in high school, then got into varsity studying jazz composition. Crazy stuff there. And then at some point in that jazz degree and that classical degree, I was just like, let me just start messing around with software and stuff. And I got into Ableton. And then from there, I started to like pick apart electronic music, make my first like bad beats, you know, doing all that kind of thing. And I'd say that all being a musician kind of started when I was about 12, 13, but that properly started when I was about 18, 19, first year. And then getting presented with like software and like digital music technology, super exciting, especially because I was being pushed in varsity with this very classical, traditional thinking about music through classical music and jazz music. Those were like the kind of structures with which we were creating. And with electronic music, I had no real lecturer. Do you know what I mean? It was like the thing I moonlighted. I bunked class to do that thing. So that was pretty cool. And that's how I kind of started with electronic music. First gigs came a couple of years later, maybe second, third year. I'm 21, 22. Started playing like varsity parties, got first couple of gigs through Vish, who's still in the scene. You guys might know him. He gave me and Tom our first couple of gigs. And then from there, got into drum and bass through two of my other friends, Ryan and Tom. You know Tom Sonadod. And yeah, the rest is all just a long line of more of the same. You know, it's like, okay, going to drum and bass parties, making your first couple of bad drum and bass tunes. Then you start a party, get good at DJing, get a bit better at making tunes, and then it just kind of snowballs and you roll in that confidence, you know? Yeah.
100%. And I feel like you've been in the scene for literally like, it feels like since its inception, like stalking your Instagram and going very far down. It feels like
you actually went deep, eh?
We went.
If you saw what sweets we have to your left,
hello, are you hungry? Well, here at Vaabs Podcast, we only provide the best sweets.
Oh no, is it White Rabbit? The best drugs.
The best drugs.
Yeah. I remember posting that. I was so hyped. It got so many likes. People had like my sense of humor with that. It was excellent.
We love White Rabbit too.
Yeah, exactly. White Rabbits.
Anyway, if you don't finish those.
Wait, what was the previous question you were asking? This being so long in the scene. Nah, dude. I think we kind of got properly into drum and bass, I would say, about 2012. 2011, 2012, we got into our first drum and bass parties. And at that point, there was already this like whole established scene. You know, it was Rude One, it was Niska One, it was Hyphen. Maybe guys you don't maybe know like Reaper or Mr. Green or like... These are the guys who are like our first like heroes, you know? So I think it would be remiss of me to say that I was there from inception, because there were really amazing people doing really amazing things for a long time before me or Raina or Tom or any of the Sognage guys got there, you know?
Was Sognage the conception of like you just saying I want to like make a venue for drum and bass and other like types of genres that don't get like the recognition they deserve? And
No, so my brother and I started Sognage, and we started it almost on a whim. You know, we were building electronics, and we were doing studio stuff, and we had this the space in Stratton Park, not the Sognage we are at now, but a previous space.
Yeah.
And it literally started with us being like, well, we have this space, we should just have Oaks over for beers. That was like that. It was that simple initially. And then Oaks over for beers turned into, okay, it's Oaks over for beers, but there's a DJ. You know? And then a month or two goes by, and then you're like, okay, Craig's coming. He's got a whole bunch of free weed, and we're going to put it down. And then there's a whole bunch of Oaks, beers, a DJ. Oh, and now there's a band. You know, so it like kind of grew like that. And then eventually a homie of ours, Tim, he had this metal band, this doom metal band called Mad God, and we loved them. And they wanted to throw a gig, and we're like, Neil and I were like, you know, we could just do it. So we built the PA, we built the back line, we built a little stage, we put up a couple of lights, and we started throwing our first band gigs, you know. And it was literally like our homie Alex Vaabs, he would work the door, Neil would work the bar, and I would work all the sound and tech. No one's watching the venue, but those were the three people who were working the whole thing.
You don't know who's actually in the venue yet. You just
exactly. There's no eyes on the place whatsoever. It's just the three people who are like right at the base. And then shortly after that, we got Alex Turner involved. He started working bar, and then that grew. And then we got this guy, and then we got that guy, and it all kind of puzzle pieced together. And then eventually Neil and I were like, okay, we can do this full time. There's cash here, there's scenes that are underserviced, and there's musics that we're really hyped about that we want to like provide for and get involved with. And this was like the opportunity. So we just like, bang it.
I need to jump in quick. Alex Vaabs. The fuck?
What, you know Alex Vaabs? At AFTER?
Yeah.
No way. I studied with him at Wits, dude.
No way.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, dude, that's
He's
so
one of
cool.
my favorite Oaks ever.
Yeah, dude, he would like work the door at the original Sognage, dude. That was like, and him and I were working on film music at the time together, and we were working on compositions and all sorts of like Cubase stuff. Yeah, that's how.
That is so cool.
Crazy.
Fuck, that's so
Yo, small fucking world.
That's
man.
well done.
One of the standout things I think about Sognage that everybody that we've ever brought always talks about, even us at the
I think
start,
I'm the
like,
one that tells them about it. I'm like, can't wait for it.
David's there at the door like, guys, have you seen the lights? But generally, like, the production as a whole, like from the sound to the lights itself to just everything that goes on in there.
Yeah.
Like, is that something that you put a lot of like thought and effort into? Is that what you want the standout piece to be, or?
I have this cheeky tagline that I tell people sometimes, and it's that Sognage is the only venue that I've ever been to where the owners are working tech, and it shows.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like the guys who are hyper invested in this thing financially, emotionally, even physically. Those are the people who are like rolling cables, controlling the lights, triggering visuals, making sure the sound's okay. And that's like kind of something fundamental to my brother and I, is that we're both techies and we're both really into music. So even though we've kind of detached from those realms a bit now, we're still directly managing all those people. So both the installation and the build of how it's done, and as well as the people and the kind of approach and philosophy to like how you control those lights. It's cool to have lights all over the show, but is that lighting guy going back to back with the DJ? That's like the thing that you have to get in your mind. You have to rise and fall and push and pull with the artists. And DJs is one thing, but now can that guy do that with a random metal band? Do you know what I mean? That's going here and there, and they've got all sorts of like contrast in their music. So that's like the thing that we really try to instill with the lighting and the visuals and the tech, is that it's not just a part of the performance, but it's like the performance. Do you know what I mean? You are performing alongside the artist. Yeah.
Oh,
That's the thing that's so nice to me, because the triangles that reach out to the end, it puts you like right into it. So like you're saying, that it feels like you're part of everything. That puts you like right inside of it.
Yeah, and the way the triangles were built is, the theory is like, it's like this kind of collaged or kind of mosaiced wave that's coming over people, and the idea is that it's like pulling in. That's the kind of thing. Yeah. So it's super cool, man. It's really cool to meet people like you guys and see that go to raves, they're like, this is really cool and it's something unique, because I think it's super unique to Neil, my brother, and it's super unique to me. And we cherish the opportunity. We're fortunate, not everyone can just open a crazy venue, but we work hard and we managed to make it happen, and it's super satisfying. It's super satisfying.
That must be so beautiful, man. And in terms of Sognage, is there anything like right now that you're like, this is what's coming next? Like we saw you got new speakers as well for the venue, or is it like...
No, not new speakers yet, but
okay.
I think Neil and I, we've had a couple of iterations of this version of Sognage in terms of like the build and like what happens with the lights and LED screens and stuff. And we are in the process of getting the new concept rolling. That's as much as I can say for right now. So like the talk has started. We've started kicking stones down the hill, see if we can start some sort of avalanche. But yeah, we're at the drawing board right now.
That's beautiful.
Do you think you'll ever be satisfied with it? Or not satisfied, but content with where it's at and not want to grow more?
No, I think if you get to that point, you have to quit.
To close it down.
Yeah, just sell it, take the payday, move on. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're not gonna if you're not putting that creative energy in there, and you're not like leaving a part of yourself in that build, you're missing out. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel as good. Yeah. No, I think we've still got a long way to go, and I think we've only just starting to scratch the surface of what we can do in like an entertainment space or like an arts creating space. So now we're really looking to stretch ourselves in that sense.
To jump back around.
Yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
Yeah. To go into like, obviously following the trend of like making things bigger and always like putting your all into it, putting your soul into it. From your perspective of your music production. So from like when you started making like lo-fi beats in 2015.
I made a few lo-fi beats. You have to. It's like it was part of the course back then.
100%. Yeah. To like the fucking spectacle of like music that you have now, like on your Spotify, even the bootlegs on SoundCloud, which we'll get into, and like your songs being featured on like Das Kapital's radio as well. Like how, from a production perspective, how much do you value that?
I think that's in my kind of like field of vision in terms of like what I do as a job and what I do as a hobby and what I do. I think I've once again making music for my drum and bass, the Rhepuls drum and bass alias. That's like the thing that I bunk class for now. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that I think about while I'm at work, while I should be working. And that kind of point of view, when it's not the thing that you've got a deadline for, or the thing that feeds the cats at the end of the month, or that kind of thing, then it can be your like little thing that you're like holding back. You're like, oh, this is my little thing. And from that perspective, it's immensely satisfying, dude. There's no money to be made really unless you're a multi-million, you know, and there's no value beyond what you get out of it for yourself. So it's immensely satisfying to be able to make those tunes and then play those tunes and then have people connect with them or react to them, or to see people going crazy at your Joel, your tune, you know, it all like it piles on. So it becomes a really good feeling. And it's hard. It's super hard because it's demoralizing to like get there and make the tune, and you have to be cuck for a bit, and it's always going to sound cuck until it doesn't. And to push through that thing is hard, but it's so satisfying. Getting to the end of that thing, it's like crazy workouts or like a cross country, you know, it's like it kills you, but the satisfaction at the end is like a high in itself.
When you say comparatively, like making music, like when you're saying jazz music and everything, is it drum bass a lot harder, or is it in the sense it all kind of flow in its difficulties? Like
every genre of music has its flow in difficulty. I think the thing that makes drum and bass hard is not necessarily the musical notes you're putting in, not the compositional aspects, but the sound design is the hard thing. You know, that's the thing. Getting your bass lines to talk to each other in that way, like they have like kind of a mouth movement, the vowels move of a bass line, you know, it growls or it screeches. That is really hard. And then the little technical bits of drum and bass, the little bits of ear candy, or it's like the fills, or like the how often it changes. Alex Marais Faze from Cape Town, he once said it brilliantly to me. To give context, he was a drum and bass producer, amazing drum and bass producer, who got like couple thousand listens on his tunes, right? Like 2 weeks into being a techno producer, he had tens of thousands of listeners. So like that's his thing. And he always said to me that drum and bass with a techno tune, you need one or 1.5 great ideas for a techno tune. For a drum and bass tune, you need like 6 great ideas. You know what I mean? So just from that perspective, it's more demanding because it's changing quicker. So there's lots of little technicalities in drum and bass.
And it's like I couldn't even describe to someone what I would want to happen making a drum and bass. It's like we need to get the we don't have the we don't have the whoa.
It's exactly that, man. Yeah, but if you can sing it, you can make it, you know? That's the thing. So you're like halfway there. I work with people sometimes. I'm like, just sing what you're saying. I'm not going to judge you. We're here to make a thing. And they're like, oh, no.
I don't want to do this, man.
I'm not a singer, but yeah. If you can sing it, you can play it, you can make it, you know?
Yeah,
that's important.
100%.
I can't fathom that. Like the thought that you can make a note that I can like, in the sense, like I can go whoa, 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 and you can do that.
Yeah, it's not...
Yeah, not like that. No.
I'm not 3D printing bass lines here.
But I'm just saying the thought process between.
Yes, exactly. Because
I can't do music.
No, don't worry, it's calm.
Oh, brilliant.
We'll just use audios from your Twitch streams and build the song then. I wanted to ask, was that purely a meme song?
What, the guy with the Twitch streamer?
Yeah.
Jono, who's a really creative, really amazing dude. He reached out to me one day through another homie of ours, Ryan Frey, who works for Ramfest and Forkhoff Bar, I think. And he was like, this guy, he's a gamer, he's looking for tunes for his thing. And I knew of Jono, and they connected. And Jono just sent me clips from his Twitch streams, and it was like some really funny stuff, dude. Some really like Oaks raging at each other, Oaks breaking controllers, like all sorts of weird stuff. And he was like, yeah, I'll just sample it and see if anything comes out. And something did come out, and it was pretty good, I think. Actually, Max Bortz, who's DJ Bortz, he played that tune a bunch, and I couldn't actually believe it, because I was like, oh, it's a cool tune, but it's not like, it's almost too memey.
Yeah.
But it's like a meme that not everyone gets, but Jono's community really got it. You know, they all knew that video, and they knew the way that he speaks and that thing. So it was good for them, but I didn't expect people who were not involved in that community to be into it. Yeah.
To like it so
That's
much.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. Cool tune. Charms.
It's one of my favorites, bro. I still love it.
That's the one, hey? Crazy.
And speaking of the tune, speaking of the sampling, specifically, the bootlegs.
Yeah, bootlegs.
How do you go from wanting to like sample a tune or make your own tune or like?
I was thinking about this the other day, but bootlegs are cool because they're kind to you. Do you know what I mean? They come associated with memories pre-installed. Do you know what I mean? So you can latch onto that piece of music much easier, both as the creator and as like the listener receiver. So yeah, they're cool, and I often do bootlegs when I don't have like the internal motivation to be like, okay, I have to make art now. You know, like some days you wake up and you're like, I'm going to make art. And some days you wake up and you're like, I'm going to make memes. When I want to make memes, then I whip out bootlegs. You know, that's the cool thing. But 100%. And there's some good ones, and people love them, dude. DJs love them. The crowd loves them. So
100%.
With that point of view, it's easy to keep doing them. Yeah,
I still think it's a nice a breaking in point as well to get new audiences, because that's how we kind of got into it. That whole, as Dakota was saying, all of Lude's tracks basically.
Yes. But that's the fine line with the bootlegs thing, is you have to not fall into the Lude trap.
You can't.
You know what I mean? Because if you're just known for your bootlegs, you have to have balance there. If you're just known for your bootlegs, then you're just a Lude. It's just Ray and I, we talk about who we want to book for the internationals and stuff, and Lude comes up and like, oh no, but it's just bootlegs, bro. You know what I mean? It has to be like pieces of music that touch people, and also pieces of music that like are just cool, you know. Land Down Under is a cool tune. I like it. It was like 10% better when it was against the drum and bass beat, but it's enough now. It's enough now.
For the 9th time, it's like, please, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. We burnt that tune out quickly. At
I think
Sognage
everyone
doing a build, burnt that one.
Yeah.
How does it work in booking your international artists? Like, is it really just a thing of you like them and you want, and then
there's a whiteboard. There's a whiteboard, and then at some point the whiteboard became a Google Drive of like, we just throw names against it. Do you know what I mean? Just throw like, okay, what's your craziest idea? Okay, we're gonna book Pendulum. Okay, maybe a bit too crazy. Let's take it a step down. And we come up with a short list for each of the dates that we have set. So we're like, okay, we want to do 4 a year. We're gonna have, and we group them all and we're like, okay, for this one that we're doing in November or whatever, we've got these 4 artists. So we'll email all of their management and we'll like see if there's interest, if they can fit the rates, if they're like happy for the dates. And then from there, it's just like you throw the fishing line and every now and then you get a bite and then you have to have a contractual negotiation with this fish. And if they are happy with that, then you pull them on board. Yeah, exactly. But it's cool. It's also so amazing because all the agencies have their difficulties, as dealing with any business does. But sometimes some of the people that, even the agents that you meet and the tour management and stuff, they become quite cool people and they become your ins for your next artist. You know? So like for instance, Delta Heavy and Tantrum Desire were the same agency, but because Tantrum Desire went all good, it was much easier to negotiate Delta Heavy. You know? I think it's also scary for people who come from the UK or the US or whatever. They're like, okay, we're gonna send this enormous asset to the bottom of Africa by himself, kind of like not knowing really what's going to happen. So they take the leap of faith, and if you reward that, if you like do well in that instance, then they're like, okay, we can work with us, you know. And then the next artist we booked was a reference of Delta Heavy's management, not his booking agent, but his actual manager. It's the same, and we are moving forward with that. So, and it's been so easy because of how smooth the Delta Heavy tour was.
100%.
Which fishing, contractual negotiation with the fish. Yeah. And then you get them. Yeah.
When do you take time to step away from the business side of it to be like, what the fuck did we just do?
I have this joke with my girlfriend that it's called like the Monday morning victory lap. Do you know what I mean? So it's like this Friday is the gig in Cape Town, Saturday is the gig in Joburg, and then Sunday is dealing with your energy levels and getting the artist back onto a plane. And then when you wake up on Monday morning, there's the victory lap. Then it's all the boys. No one's really working that Monday. You're sitting, drinking coffee, smoking vape, just talking cuck about the gig. And those moments are when I kind of take a step back. And then also I make a point to take a step back at the gig, which I did really well with René Levice. I actually spent, you won't believe this, for the first time in like 3 years, maybe since the pandemic, I haven't been to the front row of a dance floor. But at René Levice, I was at the front row of the dance floor. So that was very satisfying. But that was that was awesome to like actually, okay, we did it. It's done. He's on there. The sets are almost done. Like, job's over, you know?
I didn't need to plan anything right now.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Even when Nebs and I saw you, they were like, look at Sois, he's just having fun.
So you saw me there. So now you know what was happening there. That was me taking my little victory lap, you know?
It was just like a moment of clarity.
We did the job.
Like,
yes,
that's
it's done.
So beautiful. Oh, God. No, that feels like a special moment, man.
I was even going to say, just that thought process of listening to artists, like on Spotify and everything, like, oh, I get to open for this artist now.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, I see it as like, oh, I'm going to put myself in a huge amount of debt. Hopefully he's not stuck.
Every song you play is like, that's money. Yeah,
exactly. You watch the ticket sales come through, you're like, oh, very satisfying.
Yes, great.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a favorite jewel that you've thrown? Like, do you have one that stands out for you? Or they're all just kind of...
I think the novelty of the E-Nigel was super special, especially in Joburg. It was the most full Sognage had ever been up until that point. It was the most people that we'd ever had at a church party up until that point. And then I was playing and then handing over to E9. I had a cracker set, I had an absolute banger. And then handing over to him, and I was just on the side of the stage like, oh my God.
Yeah,
it's
like what
it's
are we doing?
it's happening. And that jewel was super special. Again, I think it's the novelty of it being the first international that we bought in like this kind of phase of church. And that I look back super fondly. Also, this René Levice one, maybe it's because it's the most recent, you know, it's the first one and the last one.
So clear in your mind.
Yes, exactly. It's the one that I have the most memory of. The rest, they're all starting to get patchy now. You know? Yeah.
I feel like this René Levice one was so beautiful, man.
You guys have a good time, eh?
Oh, yeah, such a good time.
It was amazing. And then also just the piano at the end of that entire...
Oh, yeah. Him playing piano in the green room.
I was like, I think like Lebs and I were talking to Dakota and like everyone just stopped in that room just to like watch him play piano. It was like, what's happening?
Yeah, I took a video of that, and then we were on a safari, as you called it, the next day, and I was showing him this, and he's like, I have no memory of that. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Well, don't worry, we'll remember forever.
Exactly, that's never the core memory. Exactly.
Oh God, that's beautiful.
I've lost the It's the biggest travesty of my whole life. I got
We
it.
need to find the fucking vape. The white rabbit's on enough if he doesn't have smoke in his lungs.
Oh, dude.
Uh,
You must ask my girlfriend, man. Every time she knows when I've lost my vape because she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Tears, tears, just tears." And she's like, "Where's your vape?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
If I knew,
don't
I
know
wouldn't be
whether-
crying.
Yeah, exactly. We were in Singapore airport. We had like an 8-hour layover, and in like the first 2 hours, I was like, "Babe, I lost my vape."
Oh no.
No, dude. And there's no vapes in the
I was gonna
Singapore airport,
say.
bro. Like they don't. And eventually, we were at the one cafe that we got a coffee, and that lady found my vape and put it in lost property. It was the happiest I've ever been. Because also the sneaky vape on the airplane, it like gets you through there.
oh,
Yeah.
We don't condone sneaky vapes.
No
when
sneaky
Unless
vapes.
it's good.
No sneaky vapes.
Unless you do it sneaky enough. Then we don't know.
Oh.
Again, talking about that previous church, I saw a picture of you, Dodds, and Rain Man
Mm.
from way back in Tennessee's in Pretoria
Oh, wow. Crazy.
versus this past like church where it was literally like the three of you, and I remember standing there and it looked like the most beautiful shot ever because like you're busy on decks and then Rain Man's busy egging on the crowd from the
Yes.
front and Dodds is on the mic, and then just thinking the juxtaposition of those two moments. Is it still as fun as it was like the first time as it is now? Or is it even more fun now?
Oh, it's even more fun now, man. I think we were just in it for the vibe back then. It wasn't about like there was like no real cash or whatever, and it was all kind of a fun by night. You know, it was just like it came and it went, and it didn't really mean anything. But now it's cool because I feel like we're starting to make a difference. You know, we're starting to like. We drew a line in the sand and we like stuck to our guns and we like wouldn't planted ourselves and wouldn't move, and now like the roots are starting to dig, you know, so it's like starting to like make a real difference. And I think hopefully other promoters, other people can be like, hey, internationals are viable, you can grow it, because as soon as you've got internationals coming in, you can send your locals, you can export them, you know, there's that bridge gets created. So I think now it's even better because we're having the same fun. It's like the homies, we're playing tunes for each other, we're just vibing, but we are building. There's like something, there's growth, you know, so that is super satisfying. And then being able to like look back and look forward and like see where you are and that there's still room to grow, that's also super cool. So yeah, I don't think we're having any less fun. I think the fun that we're having, it means more in a sense because of that growth, you know, and because you're making a difference, and having an impact on regular people's lives, you know, that's like our job in the creative industry, is like you have to like hold a mirror up to society and you have to like help society let loose and keep in check, and like it is your function to like support the real world economy from moving, you know, in its movement, and being able to do that successfully and effectively is really good. That's really satisfying. Yeah.
That's so
That's
beautiful.
such a sick way to look at it.
Every fucking 5 seconds with us, man. We're like, God damn, man, you're such a great outlook on life. Fuck me.
It comes from having a not great outlook on life for a long time, and then like having your reality checked a little. You have some fuck ups, you like have some personal calamities along the way, but a good amount of crying, and then you learn to deal with it. And the sooner you learn to deal with it, you get your shit together, and then you start to build. And that's that momentum, you know, it's so good because once the wave starts moving, then you move with the wave.
And
you
you're
know,
just cruising. Basically.
life's not happening to you anymore, you start to happen to life. And that's what I felt with church, and more importantly Sognage, because in the last couple of years it's like that momentum. It's super good.
I was even going to say with Sognage, one of the coolest things for me is I'll speak to like techno fans, I'll speak to drum and bass fans, I'll speak to rock fans and heavy metal fans, and it was like, oh, is that a draw at Sognage? Oh shit, I've been to Sognage before. And it's like you've got such a diverse group of people that have this now this thing in common now, where it's like, oh, we've been to
Yes.
Sognage, we loved it, it was amazing kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
how did it, like, I know obviously you said the start off was with just playing bands and everything, but I just love that place so much. I can't.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from my brother Neil and I. We're very musically agnostic, is like this catchphrase we've kind of coined. And that comes from when we were kids, we were listening to bands, we were listening to DJs, we were listening to all sorts of stuff. And then as we got into varsity in real life, our musical horizons expanded even further, you know? And I think that was important. Like some of my absolute favorite music is Aesop Rock, which is hip hop, you know, and then some of my other favorite music is like Eric Pride's, which is like a EDM or like a electro house kind of thing. But then I have deep roots in metal and deep roots in punk, but my work is drum and bass, you know. So I think there was a lot of scenes in South Africa that were really well serviced, you know. Your commercial thing, your Tiger Tigers, your Nikki Beaches, that thing is sorted. It's on lock. They've got it. We don't need any more of that.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, as well as there's like a certain house music thing, also got it on lock. No one needs to contribute further to that. But there was other scenes that were falling by the wayside, metal, drum and bass. And those are the things that we were like, we care very deeply about these, not necessarily more deeply than the other musics, but they're the scenes that need help, you know. And these are the things that we feel like our personalities can connect with the personalities in those scenes, and that's what we really like focused on. Like one of our goals at the beginning of, I think it was last year or this year, we're gonna have a metal party every month, and we're gonna have a drum and bass party every month. That was like the baseline of our business, you know, and then everything over and above that is bonus. Yeah. So that musical agnosticism, that's like the hard hitting thing. And then for a long time we had the rule of cool, you know. We're like, is it cool? Then it can come. That was it. That was like our entire baseline for, do we want to do the show or not? It was like, does it satisfy the rule of cool? You know? And the rule of cool, like, if there's 100,000 rand sponsor for the event, it's cool no matter what. But if it's a shitty event that you just have to do, it's not so cool. And then it's like, you know. So rule of cool, that's where it's at.
And I'm assuming Warhammer on Wednesdays fits rule of cool.
Warhammer Thursdays.
Thursdays now.
Yeah, shout out Legion crew. Those are the most real people, bro. The nerds, bro. And I'm proud. I love them to bits, dude. They keep me grounded. They're the best, dude. And those people, the other amazing thing is none of those people know me as Rhepuls or Church or Sognage or any of that. So they like treat me like a normal person, which is excellent, you know, because
as well.
I think in the scene, it's nice to be a bit anonymous every now and then, but I've lost that because of Church and Sognage in a way. I'm not complaining that I have paparazzi, but I'm saying that like you go out and there's a lot of people who want to say how's it, or people that you feel like it would be disrespectful if I don't say hello to this person, at least ask the day. The Warhammer gang don't give a fuck. And I love it, dude. They're awesome.
I was there for 2 hours. Not one of them said anything to me.
No one mentioned music once. In fact, these two people were super loose to like work with us in either a Sognage or a Church capacity, but never. They came to the war games to like try and network me. And I was like, bro, I'm rolling dice with my homies, bro. I'm casting powers with my wizard right now in my psychic phase. And now you want to ask me about a rate for the venue. I'm like, I can't do this. Yeah.
It's R1 million. That's how I'm feeling right
I was just
now.
angry.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
Yeah. Right now.
Otherwise, get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, War Games crew. Love those dudes. They're my favorite, bro.
No, that's beautiful, man. So, at this part of the episode, at this crossroads, we like to get into a little segment here called Vaabs Checks. David, tell the people what a Vaabs check is.
A Vaabs check is essentially where we give Rhepuls, or Francois, question based on good vibes, bad vibes, or mid vibes. And he's going to answer. He doesn't have to elaborate, but he can.
No, man, let's go.
And let's do it.
100%. So the first one, we heard that this caused quite a stir in the office, so we had to fucking bring it up. But Vaabs check on taking your shirt off at the jaw.
I just want to say that Deborah's opinion does not reflect the company, nor does it reflect the general thoughts from Church and Sognage. Her opinions do not represent ours. And let's get a vibe check on comeuppance for a second. Because I think there are big vibes on comeuppance for Debbie and her shirtless men at Sanctuary. I heard it got sweaty.
I'm glad you brought that up, because 100%. I was also going to say.
Yeah, so big vibe, no vibe on, terrible vibe on shirts off at the rave. Yeah. But at a festival, outside, everyone take your clothes off.
Yeah.
Everyone take your clothes off, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. Small sweaty clubs, keep that shirt on, bro.
Yeah. I think I got picked up by the guy even.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like you get attached and it's like, oh,
yeah, exactly. That's deep, dude. Yeah, I was at Ant Club this weekend, Saturday, and there was a guy without a shirt, and I was like, "You are getting pneumonia, my dude."
It's cold.
Yeah, it's cold.
So cold. Your body might feel hot, but it's not. It just isn't.
If he walks out, you can see him steaming off everywhere.
100%. But I feel like
That's right. Yeah, you did.
no, I didn't do it. I did it at the back of Sognage. Sognage is big.
Sauna's huge, bro.
Massive.
Yeah, exactly.
So major.
And as long as you are containing your sweat and vibes, then
That's-
mid vibe.
Exactly. Oh, mid vibe.
We mid
There
vibe.
we
We'll give
go.
mid vibe.
Yeah,
But if
mid-vibe.
you're that
Yeah.
oak who's doing this with your sweat, no vibe.
No,
That's the DJs.
no
It's like
vibe.
that.
Yeah.
In Europe, that's why they have those glass things in front of the DJ, bro. It's not because of drinks, it's because of sweat. Guaranteed, bro.
Whoa. I can't.
Yeah, gross. Exactly.
It's a bit hot in here now. oh, God. So, we're going to get into our viewer vibe checks now. So, these are the ones that you guys submit on our Instagram account. Make sure you go check out Vaabs podcast on the IG. The first vibe check comes from Ross at Sea, and it's a vibe check on spinning back tracks after a crazy drop.
You get 1%. If you do it more than once, I'm not interested. But if you get that one that is so huge, or you've like changed it to a halftime drop and you spin it back, I'm in. I'll buy it. I'll chew. You know? Second time, no vibe.
Yeah, fuck.
Yes. So it's a depends vibe.
Yeah.
That one, you know.
Conditional.
Because there's oaks who take the piss. Definitely. Even oaks in our scene take the piss, and they play church, and I'm like, you know, do I speak to this person? Nah, I'm not gonna.
That's you. That's the vibe you want to create, man. I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. That's your prerogative. dude.
I haven't heard it up here in Joburg. Like the first time I heard it was only like Dakota doing it down in Cape Town, and it was like, I don't know. There's so many moments where I'm like, "Now spin it back, spin it back." You got everyone on the leash.
I think it's hard to get there as a DJ. You know, you have to, like, what possesses you? You've like built this vibe for like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. You've like got this consistent flow, and then you're just like, nah, dude, EOX didn't jaw hard enough. So it's actually kind of like, it's like a low level insult to the crowd. You know, it's like, you didn't react the way I anticipated. Now do it again.
Yeah. I do it better.
Yeah. No, I think what's cool if you backspin it while something else is coming in and it's like part of the thing. But if you backspin to silence, it's jarring. You know, people on the MDMA trips gonna have a bad time, dude.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, but if
No
you
drugs.
do, then we're gonna
Don't
help
listen to
you.
it back.
Go to parties that don't backspin.
What is it actually like culturally? Do you know like
No
where
idea.
it came from? Or-
No idea. I think in the UK people shout reload at you. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
then the
okay,
crowd
okay.
demands it.
Yeah.
You play a banger, the whole crowd shouting reload because it came out of nowhere or they want to hear it again. Then justified. You know, your
Yeah.
audience, the people who you are performing to and the people who are paying money to be there, they pay your salary, you know. They buy tickets that goes through the promoter to your DJ set fees. If they want to reload, if they really want it, they can do it. I remember watching Mefjus in Carfax for Siren Sound back in the day, and there was one point where I think the promoter almost forced him to reload, and I saw he was like visibly upset about this promoter like putting him in such a position to reload that he was playing Sunday Crunk, his remix of Sunday Crunk, and he let it build. The first time he played a different tune, and then it built, and then it dropped into that Sunday Crunk, and then that's when the reload came. Then the second time he played Sunday Crunk, but he played the intro, and then when it dropped, new tune altogether. So he actually like got back
Yeah,
at that
he's like, "I'm not
promoter
gonna
'cause
reload."
I'm not reloading it properly.
You think I am?
Yeah, it was cool. I learned something from F just that day.
Oh man, that's dope. Dave, you ever want to reload tunes on the Vaabs podcast?
Oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. That's my biggest fear now. It's
there's
that like if I ever heard like when I heard Laser Beam from Delta Heavy, I would have. That's the one time I would have requested it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck, actually.
Yeah, you should just go. The next rave that you go to, just go up to any DJ at like a random spot and just shout reload at them. Just completely randomly.
It's like, see what they do. I imagine you guys like, man, you really like those Vibes podcast guys, but they asked me to reload. Like, ooh, oh.
It's
What
just
the
the guy is like playing Liquid and you're just like, reload!
What is it to reload?
In like the middle of Marvel, like reload it.
Yeah, the fucking tech house DJ looking at you like, what?
It's like, oh no, my USB's playing. It can't go back. We know you didn't learn to do this.
That button.
Yeah.
Imagine asking a techno DJ to fucking reload. You're like, I'll hear it again.
I think asking a techno DJ doesn't do anything.
Oh, dude.
No, if we're being honest, if we could get into this properly.
Oh, David.
So that's Debbie done with the Psytrance promoters and you done with the techno promoters.
They
Yeah.
can diss me.
You got
I think
space in
just
the Sognage
comparatively, techno and drum and bass for me, because also when I do bartending, there's always a DJ by me, and he's playing this like the biggest like drop ever, but he's doing this. It's like two knobs and
Yeah, exactly. Drum and bass DJs are working hard, bro.
Yeah.
Guarantee you, they're
have to be
working
fast.
hard.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Yeah. So, last vibe check. This one comes from Luke Horseman. He has it's a social media related question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He says, vibe check on people who don't have any posts or highlights on their Instagram profile. Now, somebody
No vibe. Bad vibe. Bad vibe.
Don't trust it.
The weirdest one is I get not booking requests, but people submitting demos to play parties or get tunes or whatever to both church and Sognage, and then they're like, oh, check out my Instagram. There's nothing on your Instagram. There's literally nothing here. You know, you've got like 0 posts and 12 followers, and I don't know what to do with that. So no, bad vibe.
Baddest of vibes.
Bad vibe. Post just one there. Just one thing. Even if it's like...
A smile.
Yeah, exactly.
Smile.
Guys, send it with the cats. Exactly.
Yeah, it'll go down well.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
Pictures of white rabbits. Does that ever play a factor into who you book, like social media presence?
I think the fact that people have so often told me that it should factor in, I've like almost counter-reacted it to that. And if you're a cool DJ, because church is like vibing by itself and the bookings come and people want those bookings, I can be like, okay, dude, come play the show, regardless of what your social media looks like. You know, I don't need the local DJs to sell the party anymore. I now can be more giving to them. You know, I can be like, you don't have the best social media, but you're a great DJ. Here it is. Come do it. And I can like help these dudes build or give them a bit more spotlight or like share their stuff. But no, I don't think it ever did. The only thing that really bugs me is if I can't tag a fan page on Facebook, because then I've got 7 DJs out of 8 who are in blue writing and 1 DJ in black writing, and that grinds my gears just from an OCD point of view. But, what your social media looks like, as long as it's like a little classy and you've got like your thing, you know, that's more important than if it is good or objectively good or bad. If you've got your thing and you're committed to it and you're stoked about it, that's more important.
And to all the aspiring drum and bass DJs looking to play at one of the biggest events in the country right now, what would you tell them? How would they go about it?
I think the most important thing, I'm always I make it a rule for church that we have to have new faces every church. You know, at every church there's a brand new face on the lineup, someone who hasn't been there before. But the only caveat is church can't be your first gig. That's the thing. It can't be your first gig.
100%.
I need you to at least have played a couple times. But I'm so stoked to book new promoters, and I've got people in the scene that I default to their opinions when I don't know about the DJ. Like the one person I ask all the time is Carl Donnie Basco. I ask him all the time, like, oh, what about this DJ? What about this DJ? And then another one is Liam Soul Pillars. Like those two dudes, I'm always asking about DJs that I've played for them, or like, and I've had them ask me in return about DJs. So promoters, more than people realize, talk to each other, and I think that's the one really healthy thing about our drum and bass scene at the moment, because it got so small and now it's starting to grow. The people who stuck through it all know each other, and we've made I think there's a more concerted effort for there to be like less drama in the drum and bass scene, and like less infighting, and more just like everyone's in it because they're into it, you know. And so promoters will talk to each other about DJs and stuff like that, at least in the drum and bass scene.
Even one of our questions was, why is the drum and bass scene so like beautiful to each other, kind of thing? Because it's like it just feels like everyone there is so.
It didn't used to be. No, there was, when we were starting in like 2015, 2016, not going to drum and bass parties but starting to throw raves, there was so much infighting, bro. People from Cape Town used to make memes about us, like the promoters there. They're like, if I lived in Joburg, I would just take you all and sit you down at a dinner and be like, come boys, let's talk. And, like that guy who said that, I valued his opinion at the time, but now with retrospect, it's funny because seems to be a bit of infighting in that scene. But I think because it got so small, it was unpopular for a little bit, and it was very niche for a little bit through like maybe 2017, 18. Lots of people who were just like hangers on or weren't really committed to the greater cause kind of like filtered out, and they were like they failed the litmus test, if you will. And now that it's a bit more wholesome, people are like a bit more, they are cognizant of what everyone else is doing. You know, the promoters talk to each other about who's on whose lineup so that there's not too much crossover. You know, we have this calendar that was set up by the guys from Propaganda and Science Friction back in the day that people used to like, all the drum and bass promoters, they put their parties in there, not to be like, I booked the state or I booked the state, but just like, if you're booking the state, this is what's happening, you know? So there's a bit of like avoidance and like easy division of the month. People pick and choose their dates a bit more carefully. That helps. And I think the drum and bass scene is just done with drama for a little bit, at least in like the slightly older circles, the people who are kind of our peers. The younger scene, I don't really interact with that much. I book the people and I have great relationships with the DJs and the promoters, but they've got their own thing and we've got our own thing. And I think we're not like fighting over scraps anymore. You know? For a long time, I think we were fighting over like 100 people who are like actively into drum and bass in Joburg for a bit. But now it's growing and there's big parties that have contributed to that and small parties. And I think that's why that people are a bit more friendly, collaborative, cooperative with each other.
Here at Vaabs podcast, this is I almost feel bad. Yeah, he's excited.
It's not going to be. This is going to be the.
Yeah.
This is our litmus test. Hey?
We're just testing the vibes. We just want the people to know the vibes. David, you want to ask it? I feel like I don't want to, but.
Let me just. I mean, be sure I get the.
I did it last time and I felt bad. I feel like it's your turn.
So it's the fuck, marry, kill question.
I'll get it.
Okay. So it's gonna be fuck, marry, kill, techno, heavy metal, and hip hop.
Fuck, marry, kill.
So it's
kill techno.
I said
strong.
to lips. I said to lips.
Fuck hip hop.
Okay.
Marry metal.
Oh,
that's yeah. Yeah, no, techno. In very short bursts, I'm in, but then I'm out. Metal, it's like our home base, you know. So that's the marriage, and then hip hop, I fuck with. Yeah, you know. That's like my thought process behind that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also I think part of my like fundamentals were with techno, so I like learned I was bad at electronic music when I was making techno, so I have bad like feelings associated. I'm like, ugh. And also, there's lots of memes about techno, you know? The same tune, can't double drop, lots of like that kind of things.
Trying to figure out what other genres you could double drop it.
Yeah, I don't know. That comes from like the formularity of drum and bass, you know? Like there's stuff that's very specific. It's 16, it's groups of 16 bars that like repeat in X and Y sort of way. There's usually 44 seconds before the drop. That's like how it works, you know? And because it's like a universal standard almost, like that wasn't ever agreed upon, that people like, okay, this is how we're going to make drum and bass tunes so that they're all super double droppable and it makes it dank, you know. You're going to have the stankiest double drops from two producers who have never met and those tunes have never collided, but because both of them kind of bought into the structures of like the pseudo agreed upon kind of formulas of drum and bass, it makes this like amazing combinations. Always like these 1 + 1 = 3 thing. That's always what you're looking for. Yeah, no, that's special about drum and bass. And I think techno and house music, there's too much fluidity. Do you know what I mean? There's no guidelines. There's no like definitive structures. You can have your fucking drop on the third beat of the bar. I've literally seen it happen. And that's what creates the tension with like doing double drops.
That's beautiful. So for all you tech heads out there,
conform.
Make up a set of rules no one talks about.
Everybody come up with your own rules. We'll try and follow them. Don't speak about it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's jokes, man.
Oh, man. So, Lebs, I hear you are permanently the designated Dave, hey?
Designated Dave?
Yeah, the driver there.
Oh, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're like the rave dad, almost, you know? You like get everyone there in one piece and get everyone back in one piece. I'm sure it takes a piece of your soul every time, but
Yes, how do you know?
I was there, bro. I did that, For a good chunk, I was the designated Dave. And that's okay. But yeah, never again. Never again.
For me, it's just like, you just want to be appreciated. David sent me this.
I want to
video.
be appreciated.
Because I've been doing it since like we were in matric, like taking us to Madison Avenue, Jules, and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know, when you're grown, you're kind of like, so for me now in the past like 2 months of my life, I'm like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And if you're there for it, that's great. If not, then sorry, you're on the wayside.
Yes.
But yeah, I choose not to look after people anymore. That's a trap.
Yeah.
No, that is a trap. It's just your whole night potentially ruined for no gain. Do you know what I mean?
If you
Thankless.
could speak words of truth. The amount of time, because I'm usually with Lebs as well, and the amount of times like our night's been like we're looking for this person.
Yes.
And it's like 4 hours of searching.
Where did Chris go? Where the fuck is Chris?
That's what I'm
Always-
saying.
yeah.
Our Chris is a Greg.
Greg.
Our Chris is a Greg. It's quite.
And Yerk's just getting wrecked, eh?
I mean, yeah, that basically. There was a point that I think it was like last year at one point, and you could see it started taking the toll on him because I remember he was driving, and then I stay alone. He stays in like more four-way side, and then he literally stopped and he's like, "You find an Uber?" And I was like, I was like, "Yeah, don't stress, don't stress, my guy." Like it took so much for him because we've been lifting like together for 6 years now.
Oh, crazy.
And he was literally like, "Dave, please, I need this."
I've never asked you for a favor in my entire life, but this one, the worst is when we have strays. So it's like you're literally
Yes.
they're like trying to bum lifts from you and stuff. You're like, "Yeah, that's cool," and then you arrive together, and then they want to leave like an hour before, and you're like, "But I want to keep going."
Dude, I had this crazy story that we were at a rave and I was driving everybody's home. And one of our homies, rather keep it anonymous, he had this girl that was with him. They were kind of dating, kind of just having a shag on the side. And it was time to go home. And I was like, boys, it's like 2:30 or whatever. I'm done. We're good, yeah. And then this chick gets in my car without even like saying how's it, dude. Without even like saying how's it. She's
So
just
where we
there.
going? It's
Yeah,
like-
exactly. And then I was in the driver's seat, and then there was 5 of us, so she was in the middle in the back seat, right?
Yeah.
And then I look in my rearview mirror, and there's this chick looking straight
Like smiling,
my eyes,
like-
dude. Gets out of the car, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, dude," and she's like, "Oh, hey."
Thank you so much.
Exactly. Where have you been? Oh, dude. Yeah, no, I feel the hangers on deeply, bro.
God damn, no one.
Thank goodness there wasn't like a, "Where's Soysted?" I'm like,
Yeah. Just hit on brakes real hard. Like,
I guess I don't know where he is.
listen. Yeah, no, brilliant.
Yeah.
My favorite point when you stopped driving, right, or when you were getting angry about it, is when like there'd be a jolt coming up, and
What kind of
and
stories?
just hold on, there'd be a jolt coming up, right, and like Davey, other people. This is long ago, right? Because when it first started to ick you, and then we all sitting there, we're like, yeah, so like, cool, we'll go there, and then we'll do this, and this. And then Libs is sitting there like waiting for someone to ask him,
Yeah.
like just ask if he can drive. Because we all assumed we were getting fucked that night.
100%.
You should have just hit them with the, "Oh, dude, car's in the shop."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, car breakdown.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, boys.
Petrol
He
money.
did that a few times. He was like, "I'm not going." He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
no, that was his big thing. He's like, "I shouldn't feel like going out
No,
tonight."
don't
And I'm
feel
like,
like
You're at
You're
the
like, "No,
police.
no,
You're like,
Lips, you
everyone's like
can't."
putting on deodorant. You're like, "No, I'm not feeling it tonight."
"Lips, come on, you gotta draw, man. You got.
Oh, that's
How much is
glorious.
the Uber?"
The worst is when you start seeing people like trying to do maths of who's in my car, like at a Prees.
Yes.
They're like, okay, so I know
That's
David's
5.
there.
Yeah.
That seems like too many people. God damn. But your story about the 2 people or the person getting in your car,
Yeah.
I literally had that happen to me last month.
No,
It
dude.
literally happened to me last month.
And it was
Bitch,
2
how
people.
dare you?
2 people they didn't ask. I don't know them. I was so hacked. But it's always that one friend that's like, it's cool, right? And you're like,
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Do you guys know? It's a long shot. Grosvenor Crossing, right?
Yes.
You know, there's that school right there, and it's got like 20 bumps on that road.
What? We
Yeah,
went there.
oh.
We went to that school.
We went to
I went to
Browndale,
Branson
yeah.
Primary. Just thought
We
yeah.
fucking. There was a situation where I had 7 people in my car. So it was like 2 in the front seat, me in the front seat, 3 in the back, and then there was Ryan Ryan Johnson. I don't know if you know him, but he's one of our best mates. He's in the fucking boot, and I was so spiteful about the fact that I was driving that I'm like, I'm taking a detour down this bumpy road with this guy in the boot of my Polo. Oh, it was so funny. And then our one friend, Nick Simmons, who lives in the UK now, he was like, at some point, he clicked that we were going the wrong way and that we were going on the bumps. And car quiet, and I should do right in the back. And then Nick just starts packing laughing. He like clicked with what had happened. Oh, dude. So yeah, if you ever overloaded, that's my bet. Take a detour past one of those schools with like 17 bumps.
Yeah,
Speed.
100% necessary. Fuck sakes.
No.
I hate it.
Oh man.
Boo.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Your metal roots. I'm interested because, like, I'm still into metal a lot.
Metal.
What's your favorite bands at the moment?
I've been listening to the new Periphery album a lot. I love the new Periphery album. Not really metal, but I listen to quite a lot of Polyphia. That's pretty cool. My brother and I are huge Tool fans, so we go way back with that. Alternatively, I've been listening, I don't know if it's metal, but Sleep Token. Been listening to a lot of Sleep Token. Those are weird masks.
Yeah. I know you're
Yeah.
talking about,
They're pretty cool. Aside from that, not much. No, that's like the metal that I'm listening to at the moment. Bit of Opeth. Listen to quite a lot of Opeth, and then I listen to a lot of Dream Theater and that kind of music, but that music's for nerds. That's a good way to describe it, and I think we've kind of taken to describing it like that. It's a different service that we're providing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think. Oh, there's this one guy in the techno scene who always describes it as like, you're not going to a club night, you're going to a concert. You know, that's like, I think what is important for us, that there's drama and theatrics and like, like there's big highs and big lows. It must be like almost like operatic, you know, it must be larger than life, because otherwise if it's just you watching that DJ against a blank wall, the same thing every time, it's like cool, but your suspension of disbelief and your disattachment from reality is only so much. But if you can like get into people's senses, like the way it smells, I'm sure you've seen the diffusers at Sognage, and like the way it sounds, the way like the food, the drink, if all your senses are like well catered for, then you can properly disassociate from what's happening in your 9 to 5. And that's like a big thing with Sognage. You know, you have to be able to be someone that you can't be in your corporate job, and that's the important thing, I think.
So that makes me feel so much better for fucking aliening out on the dance floor, like
Dude,
becoming a fucking absolute, I don't want to say goblin, but like that's what it feels like sometimes.
yeah, it's important, man. And also I feel like when you have that shared connection with people, it becomes an even more elevated thing. You know, everyone connects to each other and to the music, and everyone has shared memory, and that shared memory is like how culture starts. You know, you're the first guy eats a mushroom, then the next guy eats a mushroom. You know, they share that together, and this is our version of that in the 21st century. There's this weird stuff. People connect over cuck, and they also disconnect over cuck as well, like difference in political opinion, or like the DA versus the ANC, or like all of that's just like, oh dude, my mind is sore from thinking about that. But if you put 400 people who come from vastly different walks of life, different socioeconomic, different political, different everything, but they all have a shared thing, even between the metal, the drum and bass, the techno, all the different parties, there's like a more fundamental connection ground for people. You know, there's something that a shared space. People can look past their differences, and that's cool about Sognage.
Yeah.
Especially in South Africa. South Africa's so fucked, bro. So that if you can like get like people to release from that, and like there's never load shedding at Sognage. Do you know what I mean? There's the generator, the power's always on, the fucking jaw's always happening. So at least for like 8 hours, you don't have to think about load shedding. You know? It's like stuff like that. I still have to think about it.
Yeah. The reason I think about it is the same reason you don't have to think about it.
Like, I'm making the sacrifice for you.
I think about so much so that you can fucking dissociate. Not dissociate.
If I catch you associating. So it's like, I'm so glad.
Yeah, exactly.
Just picture the generator like hooked up to a hamster wheel, and you're like, fucking
That's where we keep Alex Turner. You guys know.
He's never at the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I need him to do something, I have to get him off that goddamn hamster wheel.
There's always random points in that, like when I'm like, oh, we should say goodbye to Alex because like we're leaving, and then it's like he's just disappeared, and then now at least we know.
Back to the wheel.
So give me the good vibe, mid vibe, bad vibe on the green room during the jaw, hey? There was lots of stuff happening in that green room at René
That was the
Levice.
most fever dreamish thing I've been in because
we didn't want to say shit about it because
I've
we were
been
like,
in one.
can we
So
talk
one
about
time I went to go speak to Alex about something. So he was like, "Oh, do you want to come see the green room?" Because he was like so proud of it as well. And we were just in the bathroom, so he was showing me everything. And I was like, I can't imagine being in a jaw. And then like that time when Alex was like, just come on, go. And I was like,
so
Yeah,
scared.
if you get the nod, bro.
oh, it's beautiful. I think it's just so nice. For me, the nicest part is like with drum and bass, everyone's so kind there. So it's like you could be there, and all DJs would be like, "Oh, you guys are That's so sick to see you," kind of thing.
100%.
Yeah, that's rad.
It's scary.
It's
It's
good.
that night was scary. What was
Yeah.
going on? There was so much. For me, it was the point where I'll say it, but fucking, if
Yeah.
you have to, you can. When David was busy holding up René Levice in a fucking dirty
Dirty dance.
dancing, fucking all, then you walk in and you're like, guys, you're making a scene. And I'm like, wait. I'm so sorry. You let us in your house and we break the artist.
Nah, that's cool, dude. You couldn't have... The scene that guy made in Cape Town, everything in Joburg was chilled. Bro,
Was he just living?
dude, he's like... He was an absolute machine, bro. He was an absolute machine. He would send it so hard every night. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And every morning, I was the one picking him up the next day. Fresh, dude.
Yeah.
Showered,
Okay, how's it going?
deodorant, mouth smells clean, ready to go. The most functional oak I've ever seen. So that guy lives his best fucking life, but when it comes time to work, he's there. He's there 8:30, catch the flight. He's like ready to go, you know? So he lives, but you have to be able to back that up with your work ethic.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you fuck out, then you know it's the end of your bookings, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, with respect to that guy, dude.
Yo, big respect to him, man.
Because Alex was saying, because I went and I saw the Jack Daniels, I was in the hand consistently, and I was like, surely it must have been throughout the whole night. And I was like, no, he was sober for his set. And I was like,
Yeah, I think he had his first drink like only like 60 minutes into his set. So it's the whole like first 2/3 of his set, he was
Yeah.
like completely chilled.
I was like, that's impressive.
Imagine pre-gaming for after your set, during your
You
set.
know, this is going to go
Like,
hard.
fuck's sakes, we're about to go off, boy.
Bro, I'm not going to say which one, but one of the DJs that we had, the internationals, at the end of the jaw, we're there, we're counting stock, I'm fucked up, you know, like I'm done with this now. And this looks like, he's like nudging Debbie about an after party, and I'm just like, no, there's no after party. We've been jolling for 3 days. It's time to go sleep.
Please.
Yeah, exactly. You've got a late checkout tomorrow. It's all like just sleep.
Just go to
I need my moment of clarity, and you can't be here for it.
Exactly. I'm not delaying my victory lap for your cup, bro.
And he comes to you, he's like, hey, Francois, I delayed my flight. What are we doing on
Sam
Sunday?
is so much fun. We're going to do another event.
Yeah,
Like, what?
exactly. Exactly. No, I think those are also wrecked by the end of it because you're like flying in 12 to 13 hours. You're there for 3 days, and those 3 days are jawling Thursday night, performing Friday, Saturday night, and you're flying out Sunday. Some of them have a jet lag, some of them have a time zone change and stuff, and I think it fucking wrecks you, especially when it's like they're back in London or wherever on Tuesday, and then Thursday they fly out again for like the next set, you know, so you're not really like chilling ever. Your weekend is Tuesday, Wednesday kind of thing. And that's deep. And you know, international flying, I think a lot of these DJs, they pre-pandemic when stuff was a bit juicier, they all used to fly business class, but that doesn't happen anymore. So that's also part of why I think South Africans have a bit more access now to mid-level internationals. I think the Andy C's of the world still fly business class, but I think the mid-level, anything below the absolute headliners, you can get away with economy flights and stuff now. So you're doing that mission with economy flights is deep, dude.
Yeah.
Oh. Good, Francois. We've had a fucking beautiful time chatting to you.
Yeah, lacquers.
Yeah, man. We hope you enjoyed it as well.
I loved it.
Yeah, where can the people find you on the socials?
It's at Rhepuls on Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram, and very occasionally TikTok. But I'm too much of a boomer for that. Yeah,
We'll have you on this soon.
yeah, exactly. I believe
Tell you
there's
about my
anyone that can
texting
do
plan.
it.
It's the Vaabs, boys. Yes, boys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Vaabs. We've had a magical time. Davey?
Thank you so much, guys. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Amazon Podcasts.
We're everywhere, man.
It's everywhere.
We're
YouTube for the
accessible.
video, and follow the Instagram Like the Facebook, I don't know why that's been bumping off as well.
Facebook?
I don't know how.
Fuck
The
Facebook.
Tannies, bro.
I was so shocked. We've been getting it. It's scary now.
Davey, they want Davey.
Yeah,
Oh, we
I
must tell you about our. Never mind. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming back to another episode of Vaabs Podcast. We've been Vaabs Podcast, and from Dill, Davey Delicious D, and myself, Captain Lebrazil, keep vibing. Woo! Gunshots.